You need a pen? Oh, is there one? Oh, okay. Thank you, honey. I kind of am, but yeah, it's like that.
You just need one copy.
Hey, sweetie, over here.
I got everything for you. This is my points. Emotions of the secondary contracts. You can't move it all. But she's going to do your names. If you just make the motion for your time. Okay, and this is your
You're also here. I gave. Okay.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, great. Okay, we'll get ready to call this meeting to order at 6:33. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I know it's a beautiful night and you got better things to be doing, but we'll make it as quick as we can. We'll start out with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the
Allegiance
flag of the United States
United States of America,
and to the
to
republic
the republic,
which it stands, one
one
nation,
one nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
just for all.
Thank you. Okay, we'll start out with board member introductions, and we'll start out with those that are here at the school. Jesse Stinchfield. Barbara?
Barbara Nickerson, Kingfield.
Kim Robinson, Kingfield.
You in?
Jessica Kane Phillips.
Kim Jordan, Kingfield. And then we'll go across the screen, starting with Karen
Karen Campbell Phillips.
and Cindy,
Cindy Dixon, Avon.
Steve,
Steve Hagerstrom, Strong.
Serena,
Serena Howard, Strong.
Nicole,
Nicole Norton Phillips.
Julie,
Julie Talmadge, Kingfield.
looking to see. Okay, so do we have Lois and Paul or Lynette? Paul, are you on here?
I'm on there, Paul Gardner, Avon.
Wonderful, thank you. And how about Lois? No Lois, okay. And no Lynette, correct? You on there, Lois?
I didn't see her number.
Okay, and you don't see Lynette, correct? Great, thank you. And then we'll go through the administrative staff, starting those that are present in the school. Brenda?
Brenda Dwiggins, Principal of Strong.
Jeff Pillsbury, principal at Phillips.
Scott LaHaye, Maintenance and Transportation.
Lynn Carey, Business Manager.
Jared Young, tech director.
Todd Sanders, Superintendent.
Johanna Prince, Principal of Kingfield Elementary.
Christina Stevens, Assistant Principal, Athletic Director, Mount Abram.
Shelley Tranton, Principal, Mount Abram.
Lorene Olson, Special Ed Director.
Did we miss anybody?
Dora York, Food Service.
Thank you, Dora. And no Tiki? No. Okay, thank you, everyone. Review and approval of the agenda minutes, prioritization of items. Are we all set there?
Sent a revised agenda out last night. And there's hard copies here.
Okay, I got that. And next we have approval of the today's agenda. And we're all set with, did everybody get a copy of the latest one revised on 5/20? I'm assuming everybody did. And we have approval of the minutes of the previous meetings.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the previous meetings. May 13th, May 7th, and April 16th. Oh, yeah, the April 16th is school board. The other ones are, the 13th and the 7th from May is for the budget.
Then we also have April 2nd and April 14th. Is that correct? Or those ones previous?
Do we have that?
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
I wasn't able to attend the last actual school board meeting. Do I abstain? But I was the budget one. So are we approving the last scheduled school board meeting?
She's asking if she wasn't able to attend the last regular scheduled school board meeting, so she's wondering if she needs to abstain. We're gonna group them all as a collective, but she needs to abstain from voting, is what she's asking.
Yes, and who is that?
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
Serena. Okay. So with that being said, let's do the sorry, I'm just grabbing my May 7th meeting. What, did you make a motion, Bessie? No. Okay. Okay, so we'll approve them together, and then Serena, you can just abstain from that one date. And what was the exact date?
Can I say something?
Yep.
There were several of us who weren't present at different meetings, so
Oh,
I don't know how you're gonna do that, because I know I missed a meeting. I don't even know which day it was. I don't even know, whatever. I don't have the minutes in front of me, so there were some of us who weren't present. at
Okay,
each
so
meeting.
let's do each individual one then.
all right. I make a motion that we approve the April 16th. school board meeting.
The minutes.
I'm sorry. Gosh, I'm sorry, the minutes.
Okay, so for the April 16th, 6:30 regular scheduled school board meeting. Well, you guys can see on your list who was not there, which Lois, Paul, Kim Robinson. And that was it. So those in favor of accepting the April 16th regular scheduled school board meeting minutes. All those in favor? Did you say Steve?
Yep.
And Jesse and Nicole and Jessica and Karen?
Yep.
Paul?
I'll abstain from that. I wasn't at that meeting.
Thank you, Paul. Opposed? And abstain? Paul? And Kim. Okay, thank you. Okay, so that's April 16th. What's the next date?
The next-
May.
May 7th.
May 7th.
They're all the same? Okay. Okay, so the May 7th
Budget meeting.
budget meeting, and those that were absent were Julie, Paul, Barbara Nickerson, Serena Howard, and Kim Robinson. So, I'm sorry. Those in favor? Yep. And opposed? And abstained?
Paul abstains.
Thank you, Paul. you. So that was the May 7th. Did we do May 13th yet?
Okay, the next one is the budget meeting, May 13th. It's late. I'm sorry. Make a motion that we accept the minutes for the budget meeting for May 13th.
Okay, and those that were not at that meeting were Karen Campbell and Lynette Abbott. And Kim Robinson, sorry. Those in favor?
In favor, Paul.
Jerry, did you just print one of these? Oh, thank you. Okay, opposed? And abstained. Okay, next one. Can we group together May? Yes.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes for the board budget meeting for April 2nd and April 14th with absent Lois Barker, Paul Gardner for both.
All those in favor?
Serena, Barbara, Julie, Cindy, Karen, Steve, Jesse, Kim.
Yep. And opposed? And abstain?
Paul gonna abstain. He wasn't here.
Paul, are you abstaining?
Yes, yes.
Well, there, we got through those.
Yeah.
Thank you. And now we open up for public comments. And the telephone number is, if anybody would like to call in, 678-2701, extension 4302. Or you can zoom in and speak.
Stinkers. Do I?
Okay, we'll carry on. Next, we have recognitions and celebrations. We have special recognition for the 2020 Franklin County Teacher of the Year, Melissa Hoisington from Kingfield Elementary School. Congratulations.
Is Melissa with us?
Is she on here?
No. I don't know if she's, Joe, I know you're on here. Do you know if Melissa's
I don't believe that she is on the call tonight, but can just share Melissa's been an employee in the district for the last 24 years. She's worked both in Kingfield and in the Phillips School. And in looking back at her history, she has done reading recovery, special education, grades 1, 2, and 3. And this year she took on the challenge of the 1-2 multi-age and has done a great job. She was nominated by Selena Warren, who is our kindergarten teacher and also a county teacher of the year, and is a colleague. And then Melissa teaches Selena's child. So it's a great honor for Melissa, and I know she'll represent us well.
And Joe and I got to participate remotely. Everybody's being impacted by this. Obviously, the recognition ceremony was done remotely, where the Commissioner of Education spoke amongst many other speakers as well, and they recognized all the recipients virtually via Zoom. And Joe, I think they said they are going to try to do some in-person recognition at a later date. Didn't they say that?
Yeah, I think they're trying to create as much as possible, given the circumstances. But like you said, it's been impacted by the current situation.
So now she'll be up for possible being state teacher of the year.
That's wonderful. Well, congratulations to her and you as well. Thank you. Next, we have correspondences. We have 3 letters of resignation. One letter from Sarah Spear, special ed teacher at Mount Abram High School, Shannon Simmons, English teacher, Mount Abram High School, and Allison Lopez, ed tech at Mount Abram High School. Who would like to make a motion to accept all letters?
Make a motion that we accept the letters of resignation from Sarah Spear, Shannon Simmons, and Allison Lopez with regret.
I'll second that with regret.
Second with regret.
No, guess I better pay attention, huh? All those in favor?
Aye. Paul?
You said, oh, and Jesse, Jessica, Karen Campbell? Yep. Yes. Okay, thank you, everyone. Discussion items, proposed board meeting schedule.
Yeah, that's in your packet. It's hard to believe, but we've already made our run through a year. So this is starting in July. We still have the June meeting to talk about. But starting in the month of July through June of 2021. Try to stay as consistent with the third Thursday as possible, but we had to move a couple of them just to avoid vacations and things like that. So it's in your packet. I didn't hear anything in opposition to it, so.
Yeah, I think we probably.
Question was asked where they are. We really don't know what things are going to look like yet. We're still trying to figure that out. So as we made a decision because of the space that the cafeteria allows at Mount Abram, we've been meeting here. Once we get better guidance as far as what we can and can't do for meetings, we'll start the rotation again, but until further notice, we'll continue to meet here.
Thank you. Okay, committee appointments and reports. We had the academic committee, superintendent.
None of it.
I know, I was gonna say that.
I am trying to gather that academic committee. I think just for those of you that are on that, the date that I suggested, is Kim Robinson on the call?
Yep.
Or
right
she's
here.
here? Okay. I think that time didn't, the 9 a.m. time worked for everyone, but can Kim chime in if it doesn't work for her?
She's talking to you.
I'm sure she'll get back to you, Joe.
Okay, so,
She's away from her computer right now. She's getting a packet.
okay, sounds good. So we will try and meet virtually if possible.
And do you know the date, Kim? Did you hear that?
I sent it, we can do it via email. That's fine.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Okay. So there were no meetings for any of those committees. General information, state of the schools, district administrators. Joe.
Sure. So I feel like we have been getting better and better at remote learning. It gets harder and harder as the weather gets nicer. So one of the things that we are doing at Kingfield Elementary is this coming week with Memorial Day will be our last week of kind of regular classes. And then in the 2 weeks in June, the teachers across KES have collaborated on 6 interdisciplinary units that will be team taught and have kids from pre-K through 8 in the classes. One is fitness, one is poetry, one is music, one is the natural world, another is digital art, and then kids do have the choice to do an independent study. So right now we put the survey out this morning to kids. About half of them have told us their first and second choice. And those groups will have at least 1 live meeting a day, some of them 2, and they're really trying to use guest speakers, hands-on activities, scavenger hunts. So we're excited about that. We finished a book study as a staff and really have tried to use the time that we have right now as an opportunity. We have also worked on, across the district, revising the middle level report card, and we'll be sending out a survey to students and parents shortly. Across the district, again, all 3 schools are working on PBIS, which is positive behavior intervention and supports. So we've been able to do some professional development with Dr. Brian Kavanaugh virtually through Zoom. So that's exciting. And then later tonight, I'll talk a little bit about the PPEG work. And then I think the other thing where we have so much uncertainty, the staff have really been working hard to do as much professional development as possible on how to use technology. The pre-K through 2 teachers are playing with Seesaw, an online tool, and then the 3 through 8 folks are looking at Google Classroom, so that if we are in some sort of hybrid or remote situation in the fall, that we are as prepared as we can be. So I just give the staff a lot of credit for jumping into all the learning that they're doing right now and making it as engaging as possible for kids.
Thank you, Joe. We appreciate all you guys' very hard work. Shelley. You on there, Shelley?
She was earlier.
That's all right. We'll move along to Brenda.
Hi, good evening. So like Joe shared, I would also like to thank my staff for the countless hours and putting in and learning how to get better at the technology that they're using and collaborating at different ends of the school to make learning as engaging and fun as possible. We're going to wait to that last week to do the students will be making videos and different things to share with their classmates based on the content. And so that will hopefully keep them engaged for that week. And then they'll know about it next week, so they'll have time to work on it. I would like to say that virtually we had 12 students go from the regional level to the state level for National History Day competition, which was in Auburn. And of that group of 12 students, we had a junior group website, 3 students that will now virtually move forward to the national level in Washington, DC. Of course, all of this is virtual. So that was quite interesting to try to do the competition that way. And the kids were very excited and they did a wonderful job. Represented Strong and MSAD 58 very proudly. I think there'll be an article by Politics in the paper coming. Like Jeff said, we're all moving, all three pre-K to 8 schools are moving to PBIS, which is your positive behavior interventions and supports. And our leadership teams have already met twice and creating our plan so that we'll be very successful for next school year, no matter what that will entail. We'd like to thank Sugarloaf. They donated a $500 donation for to continue with winter sports. And we sure do appreciate their ongoing support for all our schools. Other than that, I think all our kids and staff and families are looking forward to June the 12th for the hopeful end of this type of learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. Jeffrey?
Some mornings you would not know that school is closed. At Phillips Elementary, many mornings the parking lot is full, and of course we're practicing social distancing. But so people are very busy. Our custodians are sanitizing and resanitizing, and they've tackled the floors, and so the school's looking great. Shout out to the kitchen staff. They've continued to work diligently to provide meals for our kiddos. So busy, lots happening at Phillips. Academically, remote learning rolls on. Teachers, pretty much just about every teacher you talk with says, that this is way more difficult than having kids in class. So, I praise them. They're constantly experimenting and trying a lot of different platforms, digital tools, and definitely hearing a lot of success stories with different tools and different classes and kiddos. So nice job to them. Mr. Happel is taking advantage of Memorial Weekend, and some of the Phillips kids have got a Memorial weekend just studies around Memorial. So he always puts together nice lessons. So that's, in a nutshell, that's it at Phillips.
Great, thank you, Jeff. And we'll go back to Shelley. Or Christina.
Oh, Shelley's there.
I'm here. Todd, did you need something from me? I thought I heard you say my name, maybe? No?
Yeah. But hi, Shelley.
I could hear you. I was here. Nope. So we are gearing up for a surprise for our seniors tomorrow. And we have let them know that we're coming to their house tomorrow. And the feedback so far seems to be pretty exciting. And I know that the cat's already out of the bag, that they know that we're delivering signs, custom made signs for them. You guys have probably seen some, in Farmington for Mount Blue graduates, and Life Touch did a fabulous job with putting the kids' pictures on these with the Mount Abram Fear the Mountain logo. And so we're hoping to get to see a lot of our seniors tomorrow. So we're really looking forward to that. And we're starting that at 8:30 tomorrow morning, leaving from Mount Abram High School. And a big shout out to Steve Mittman, who put together the map for that for tomorrow. He's put a lot of work into that. So thank you. And if you guys want to follow our updates as far as where we're at, Darren Allen is going to be posting updates for that as we progress throughout the day. Let's see. Teachers are working really hard with our kids. You guys know it's been beautiful this week, so it makes it even harder to stay focused with the kids. And we've got teachers that are doing home visits to kids and, catching kids wherever we can, and to offer help and just reach out to them. So that's been really awesome. And of course, we're coming up on graduation. And so just ironing out, final details with graduation and getting geared up for that. I think everybody's looking forward to graduation, the kids and definitely staff. So, but other than that, I think that's it from my end. I know Christina's got some updates too.
Yeah, just some projects that are going on. Actually, I've been in most of the week this week, and the stage has been set up in the gym for graduation. All the basketball hoops are up, so it just has a different feel when all the basketball hoops are up. That seems a lot bigger. We've got some field work going on, some improvements to the baseball field, doing a new infield there and a bullpen area. Same with the softball field. We're redoing the infield in there. The plan is to be painting all the outer buildings. So that would be all the dugouts and the soccer tracks, storage building, to make them all match the same blue, which would be nice. I started tackling the locker rooms today, just cleaning out locker rooms and old gear and stuff that is obsolete. Yeah, so just kind of taking advantage of the time that we have right now. Still looking forward to hopefully July 6th, some kind of hands-on with some athletes, whether it's one-on-one or small group. And fall schedules are set, and we are optimistic. So we'll see.
Great. I love your optimism. Thank you. Food service, Dora.
Hi, everybody. So food service, I got to say thank you to my crew and transportation, obviously, for getting all those meals out. We're still doing around 545 every day. Scott and I met this morning trying to figure out the details on what the dynamic of summer is going to look like. We're going to do something, and I've got a little bit of ironing out left to do, so I don't want to really say what we're going to do, but it will definitely be very clear within the next week or so. I've got 4 grants so far for a total of $4,500 from Full Plates and Full Potential. We also got awarded a $500 mini grant from Full Plates, Full Potential. I finished up the fresh fruit and veggie grants for the 3 elementary schools because they're the only ones that qualify for next school year. I'm waiting on one principal to give me back a signature page and we can finish that up. I got a CMP just has a bag donation program that we actually won that too. So we're waiting on that. That's pretty much it. We're just trying to keep everything rolling and stay positive and hoping to have the kids back just like everybody else is.
Kim, can I say something, please?
Please.
Kim, can I butt in and say something?
Yes. Can you hear me, Paul?
Yes, I would like. I was up to school a week or so ago, and I would just like to thank Dora York and transportation and bus maintenance. What a great job they were doing up there, and all the work that they put into delivering meals. I see the school bus everywhere where my crew's working, and I just wanted to say thank you to Scott and Jared Young Technology for letting me speak on the school board meeting, and for Dora for what a good job she's been doing.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Good people.
Thank you very much. We are fortunate. We've got some great people in our district. Jared.
Okay, well, a couple of things that I can talk about tonight. We recently got a $1,000 grant from the Betterment Fund. We were able to use that to purchase 5 Verizon hotspots, the jetpacks. Those were distributed to the building admins, and then they are going to assign them to the students that they feel like need them the most. We also recently received 82 Samsung tablets from the state of Maine that are LTE capable and can be used as a hotspot as well as a tablet. We are currently working through configuration issues that are statewide. Actually, all the schools are having trouble configuring these. So we're working on it. As soon as we can get those configured and out the door, we will, because we know that families need them. And then the other major thing we've been focusing on is our phone server issues. You all know that the voicemail database crashed. Was it last week or the week before? And that's just a symptom of a lot of the problems that we have with it. We need to get it caught up to a current system, to a current state, so that we won't have those issues anymore. So I'm working with vendors to try to get the best prices that I can for the hardware, working with TDS to come in and get that rebuilt and move to new hardware, and so we can get that back up and running to where it needs to be. Those are the major things we're working on. Sure.
With technology,
Yes, that's the way we do it right now. We can discuss
She
other
has questions from people that hear it.
future, but for right now, yes, that's how we're.
Jared, you might want to repeat the question. I don't know if it was said, so people.
Okay, were you? Oh, yeah, I think you were muted, but I'll repeat the question. Barbara had asked if the seniors are giving back their devices, and yes, the way that we currently do it right now, the seniors do turn their devices in. We have had discussions about other options, but right now that's where we're at. So yes, they will be returning them back to us.
Okay, 2 more questions.
Sure.
Does that mean that the freshmen, sophomore, and juniors will keep them over the summer?
No, our plan is to collect all of them because of Apple Care running out this year, so we need to check them over, make sure they're on and need to be replaced under warranty before that runs out.
So is there summer school?
Lorena probably speak about that.
Okay.
It's the only summer school we do is special ed, so when she speaks, I'm assuming she'll talk about that.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Jared. Facilities, maintenance, and transportation, Scott.
Everything's going very well, actually. Because we haven't had school since what, March
13th. Was the last day.
And so we've got a lot of things already accomplished.
Friday the
And
13th.
this spring seems like it lasted forever, and then all of a sudden it was Memorial Day. So I don't know how that happens, but all the schools are in very good shape. Kudos to the transportation department on that food delivery. It is I hate to say this because I'll jinx it, but it's a pretty well-oiled machine. And we're going to be changing it up a little bit for the summer, and hopefully that machine will continue to be well-oiled. That's about it.
Thank you, Scott. Special ed, gifted and talented Lorraine Olson.
Hi, everybody. I think I'll talk a little bit about GT first. So, we have had our GT committee meeting via Zoom. We had to make some adjustments to our timelines and how we do our process for screening each year, but we've set out a plan that will work. The team was great, gave their time and helped us to make some good decisions there. We also just, well, I don't remember if I reported this last time, but we held GT meetings for every high school student. It was the second one of the year for all of our identified 8th graders. But I could tell, or the feedback was really positive from the parents about having that meeting well ahead of time before they run the Power School. Guidance counselor was, the current guidance counselor was extremely helpful, had everything mapped out ahead of time for us, the choices, the options. It was an excellent process. So if I move on to special ed, oh, also about the GT piece too. We've had some really amazing offers for some free programs that are normally very expensive, and we've worked some deals for next year with Sue, and we have this thing called Resuli. Anyway, it's working great, and the kids are loving it. They're working on a few projects, so even that learning has continued during this time. In terms of special ed, what I guess I could say to describe the special ed staff and what they're doing is one word: innovative. Their level of interactions and the ideas that they're coming up with to have the students actually interacting with the screen with them There's this thing called Boom cards. They're doing life skill lessons, they're doing teaching yoga, they're integrating phys ed and movement into their classes, they're singing, they're performing, basically. It's amazing. The other thing that's been really great is when we do our transitions from 8th grade to high school, they're getting to join and see and meet the students on Zoom and actually see the way that, because with some of our students, we deliver instruction in very specific ways that meets their needs. So they're getting to see like some of the way that we do the ABA instruction and exactly how to do it for students by joining like the high school student joins with the middle school special ed teacher and watches how they do it. So it's just giving us this opportunity to really train the teachers for next year in a different way than we could when we were in person. So that's a positive. Let's see. We're getting really good at remote learning, and I don't think people love it as much as that student interaction, but they're finding really ways to really feel like they're with them. Reading and writing lessons, math problems, or doing the math problems together. And I don't even know exactly, they haven't shown me how they're doing that yet, but they're doing some really interactive math work with them, using manipulatives, everything. So the collaboration between the special ed teachers in the different buildings is increasing because they're learning to use Zoom in ways that we never did before. In terms of this question about summer school, I have a whole sheet of notes. I have a meeting with the state director twice a week, every Tuesday and Thursday. And at this point, they're not supporting in-person ESY, but a lot of schools do their ESY right after school ends. And in this district, I did a research project for a college class that I was taking. And the research tells us that the purpose of summer school for special ed students is to prevent regression. And when you provide those services in July and then they give them the month of August off, it doesn't typically prevent that regression and they're not as ready to come back to school. So I changed it when I got here to in August. So that this year, that's going to give us a better opportunities for some possibilities of having in-person classes. But Erin Fraser, the lady who is the director at the state level, has told us to, if we have August, like I brought that up at the state level and a lot of people are on board and thinking about changing theirs to that same kind of idea. So we'll see, but there's no answer as to whether summer school will be remote or whether it will be in person. There's a lot of guidelines, and some of the guidelines that came up this week were things like you have to have a nurse in the building, social worker. So, they have a lot of really pretty intense criteria that we'd have to work out. So we're going to wait to see what they tell us we can do, and then we'll figure it out from there. Any questions?
That's great. Thank you, Lorraine.
Yep,
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone, again. Next, we have nominations. We have general nominations. Two, one of which was Diana Thomas, art teacher, Mount Abram High School. She was transferred to the high school. And we have Sarah Spear, Ed Tech 3 from Mount Abram High School.
From one position, this is going to a different position. Sorry.
All right, so now I'm on the same page. So I make a motion that we accept the general nominations for Diana Thomas to move to Mount Abram and Sarah Spear to move to Mount Abram as well, as stated in their contracts.
The art teacher and the Ed Tech 3s.
Yes, Ed Tech and art teacher.
I would second the motion.
You're trying to unmute.
I'll second. Yep.
Just keep it unmuted.
All right, thank you. We had a little technical difficulties here. All those in favor?
Aye, Paul.
Did you said Nicole, right? And Jesse. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we have no no's and no abstains because we had everybody present was yes, so thank you. I was looking for the names. Diana, would you like to speak? You don't have to. I didn't know if you wanted to say anything.
I just wanted to say that it's been a great year, and I request a transfer, even though it reflects anything other than it was a wonderful year, and it was a long and thought out decision.
Are you muted?
Am I?
No.
Okay. Well, what I was saying was that it's been a great year. I just, and I thought about it for a long time, and I honestly feel like if I hadn't been stuck at home doing this remotely, and if I had gone in and seen those cute little faces of those kids every day, I may not have made that decision. But I think overall, I would like to just teach more in-depth art and at a higher level, and be in one school, which helps, I think will help a lot in being able to do that. So that was my decision. I think I can bring a lot to the table at the high school.
Great.
Thank you.
I'm sure regardless, you bring a lot to the table, so thank you.
Thank you.
And is Sarah Spear present? Would like to speak? No? Okay, thank you. Next, we have second-year probationary contracts. We have Thomas Fisk, Social Studies from Mount Abram High School, Annalise Deschanes, grade 4 teacher at Kingfield Elementary School, Jessica Hughes, grade 3 teacher at Kingfield Elementary School, Tori Land, social study teacher, Kingfield Elementary School, Diana Thomas, art teacher, Mount Abram High School, sorry. Ann Thurlow, special ed teacher, Strong Elementary School, and Nancy Gray, special ed teacher, Phillips Elementary School. Cindy, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering if people were comfortable if we took the second, third, and continuing contract all as one motion.
I'm comfortable with it, and I know these, does anybody object to it? Yep. Okay. With that being said. Okay, so the third year probationary contracts, we have Kylie Alton, special ed teacher at Strong Elementary School, Karen Beecham, music teacher for this district, Jacob Boone, science teacher, Mount Abram High School, Lance Harville, social studies teacher, Phillips Elementary School. Then we have continuing contracts for Erica Bracy, pre-K teacher, Strong Elementary and Kingfield Elementary Schools, Brandy Tanner, science teacher at Mount Abram High School, Jillian Withy, pre-K teacher at Phillips Elementary School, and Dustin Zamboni, physical education teacher at Phillips Elementary and Kingfield Elementary School.
So I make a motion that we accept the second, third, and continuing year contract for the people so stated.
I'd like to second that motion.
Yes, yeah. Kim did. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And Kim, yep, okay. Okay, so we had all in favors. So there would be no and no no's and no abstain. Thank you. Does anybody on those three lists here that would like to have, saying something? Well, if you are present, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have administrator 2-year contracts. We have Lynn Carey, business manager for the district, Jared Young, technology director for the district, Scott LaHaye, director of transportation and maintenance for the district, Lorene Olson, special ed gifted and talented director for the district, Brenda Dwiggins, principal for Strong Elementary School, Johanna Prince, principal, Kingfield Elementary School, Christina Stevens, assistant principal, athletic director for Mount Abram High School, Michelle Tranton, principal, Mount Abram High School, and Jeffrey Pillsbury, principal at Phillips Elementary School.
So I make a motion that we accept the administrator's 2-year contracts as stated.
Any discussion? Did I hear somebody?
That was me.
Oh.
Do you hear me?
All those in favor? No, okay.
Aye.
Hi there. So does this contract just extend the employment or does it mention any sort of salaries with it?
They go with the salaries
Are in the contract.
are in the contract, yes.
Have we seen the contract? Because I thought that the administrators didn't have a collective bargaining unit.
You sent the contract to,
I sent the salaries to, I haven't sent the
Right,
contracts.
right.
Salaries, I can send you.
right. So did you see the email that had the salaries listed in them?
I did, but that's only for 1 year. That's not for 2 years. Is that correct?
Yep, it'll be negotiated every year.
So what is the 2-year contract then? What are we accepting by voting on this motion?
Guaranteeing them unemployment, guaranteeing them employment for 2 years. And then the wage,
At what salary level?
I can't hear what she's saying.
Salary level is just for next year.
Just
It's
for
similar
next
to
year?
mine,
So
Nicole,
we're,
where it's every year we have to renegotiate, or I renegotiate.
so why would we offer a 2-year contract without knowing the salary first? I know with all the educators, it's outlined what the increase is annually, but this one does not have a contract that speaks to annual increases.
It's
Can I
just bad
speak?
practice.
Can I speak, Kim?
Yeah, please.
Julie, so I think I have the same question, and that's one of the reasons I'm the one who asked for the salary information, because in the past, we've approved a 2-year bump with the percentages indicated. And I think last year when we did the 2-year bump, it only went out to 2021. And typically, this is something the administrative evaluation team would discuss and kind of work with the superintendent on, but probably that hasn't been able to happen this year. I'm not sure. I don't know if there's anything in writing beyond 2021. That was my question as well, Nicole.
I don't know, I'd have to look. I don't think there is.
Beyond.
And 3 of those people only had 1-year contracts, Jared, Lynn, and Christina would have been only 1 year to begin with.
Right.
Because they were first-year hires.
Okay.
And I guess also the salaries that were presented in that email from yesterday, were those agreed by the administrative committee?
And the administrative committee had not met.
No, these salaries were already proposed. These were agreed upon last year when we'd have to go back in the minutes, but last spring when we discussed evaluations and with the previous superintendent, her recommendation was, again, I think it was a 2-year or 3-year, I can't even remember what was approved last year, but the salaries were indicated at that time. The 2%, I believe, is what was agreed on, but I don't know if there's anything in place for 21 and, 21 to 22. That was why I was questioning the 2-year as well.
So the 2-year was approved. How about the 6% increase for one position?
Well, that person wasn't in the position, so I don't believe that was in any, I don't believe, I know it wasn't discussed when I was part of that. I think it was.
That was a 1 year.
a
That
change
was a
in
1 year hire.
a change in position for someone, so.
I guess my concern is we were dispersed this document with the pink copy that noted what the contractual services cost total was equal to and what the non-contractual expense total was equal to. And Cost Center 6 made it seem like we had no control over what the salaries were for that position. But if no one approved the 6% increase prior to, then I think we did have some control over that.
I guess I'm not understanding so it was, the increase is in the budget.
Correct, but it wasn't disclosed that we were offering a 6% increase when everyone else included in that cost center was getting a 2% increase.
May I speak? This is Cindy.
Yes.
So without having the contracts in front of us, we don't know what the language is. So maybe the superintendent can negotiate with the employee. They are not, I believe, in a collective bargaining agreement. Is that correct? So it may be
Correct.
between the superintendent and the employee. I don't know if there's general guidelines that are typically followed. So I guess without actually having the contracts in front of us, I know it is common practice to for administrators to have 2-year contracts. Typically, year 1 and 2 would be more like a probationary, and they would deal directly with the superintendent as far as wages go.
And that has been past practice in this district.
That is correct.
Without actually seeing the contract language, it's hard to know what the superintendent has the ability to do and where the board, I mean, where there's not a collective bargaining agreement, I'm not sure that the board can directly approve their salary.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
My question is, in the 4 years I've been on the board, I don't recall that we have had, we have participated in approving or changing their salaries. It's only been committee-wise or superintendent-wise. So my question is, with all of this, is this something that pertains to us or something that's out of our reach? And I guess maybe that's the clarification being looked for, but I know we've never had these kind of discussions over administrative salaries before. So I'm just wondering, I guess we all need to know who really has, the say and control in that.
I would like to add 6% sounds like a large increase, but that position is being significantly probably underpaid still.
And the It is a 3% of what was budgeted last year. It is a 6% overall, but it's only 3% of what was in the approved budget for the position last year. And it is still considerably underpriced for the position.
Kim, can I just speak to Karen's question?
Yes.
So we have discussed this, but it has been not done in this way because we had an administrative evaluation team that met with the superintendent, that went over the contracts and made suggestions for increases that were in line with what teachers and other people in the district were getting. So that 2% is a reflection of those previous discussions. That is not, I don't believe that is anything that we can negotiate at this time, because that was what was approved last year, I believe, as a 2-year bump at that time. Again, I don't have a contract in front of me like Cindy mentioned, but we have discussed this. It has not been in this format because we have taken them individually and approved them for whatever number of years at whatever the increases were. That's typically how we've done it in the past. And I'm not.
Okay,
I'm
thanks.
not,
I appreciate that.
yeah, and I'm not making any complaint about it. I'm just have the question about a 2-year contract seems not to be in line with the salary that only goes out 1 year. So that's really the only piece that I think we can discuss.
Well,
I
I don't
got it.
think it's
Okay,
atypical. I don't think it's atypical to have a 2-year contract with the second year to be determined.
Right.
You did with me for my third year.
The 2-year kind of gives them some job security and also gives us some security in knowing the administrator is there for. So Todd, are these 2 years beyond now, or is this some of these like on the rotation? So one would just actually be another year.
For everyone but those 3 that I mentioned a few minutes ago, would be just the extension of another year. We had 3 administrators who were on their first year, so they were only offered a 1-year contract. So this would be their first 2-year contract.
And I'm comfortable if the committee wants to meet and go over
2
that
years.
information.
I'm sorry, Cindy. Say it again.
I would be comfortable to meet with the committee members. I think it's Jesse, Lois, Todd, and myself. If the board prefers that, we do that. Their contracts are typically up June 30th, so that doesn't leave a lot of time. Are the admin contracts up June 30th, Todd?
Yes.
So the 3 that are looking at 2-year contracts are Lynn, Christina, and Jared. Is that what we're saying? Or is that just, okay.
Nope,
And
that's
so,
it.
and then
Correct.
the others are an extension for 1 year at the salary that's listed.
Correct. You would have gone on to the first year of a 2-year one this year. I'm not sure why that would have been the case, but. Okay. So apparently Brenda and Joe only had Joe, you only had a 1-year contract this year?
Nope, I had a 2-year contract, and I feel like we are in a gray line of what should be an executive session versus what should be discussed in public.
Yep.
And I'd like to have that recognized.
Yep.
So
I got kicked off. Could you repeat whatever just happened, please?
the concern was brought up that this conversation should probably be held in executive session.
Thank you.
So you want to postpone?
We can, and if that evaluation committee wanted to get together and like Cindy suggested, we could do that too, if that's the direction of the board. She is on the committee. Yeah. Yep.
So would you guys prefer that we postpone the votings on these administrative 2-year contracts and have the administrative committee meet and go over these sometime between now and June 30th?
It'd be good, it could be, should be, because then it can have to take action at that meeting.
Yeah, that's true. So the next board meeting is June.
Oh, we gotta talk about that
Right.
next.
Right, so it would have to be probably.
Next week.
Yeah, next week. Those that are on the committee feel like that can be done.
It's okay with me if it's okay with Cindy. I don't know about Lois.
I
Cindy?
think it just depends if the board wants us, if the board feels more comfortable with us meeting and then bringing that recommendation, then we can meet. If the board is comfortable with moving forward the way it is, then I'm not sure that we necessarily need to meet. So just take direction from the board.
I'd make a motion that the Administrative Review Committee goes, meets, and brings a recommendation back to the board.
Okay, then why don't is Tiki in tomorrow? Maybe you can.
No.
Okay. Okay, do we want to set a meeting time tonight or do we want to do some phone calling around? 'Cause
Excuse me,
it's
was
just
that a
small-
motion or a recommendation? Can we follow through?
That was a recommendation.
That was a motion.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, Nicole, you made a motion.
I'll second the motion.
Julie seconded it. Oh, yeah, there was already a motion to accept. No, what the
Jessica.
point that's been made is there's already a motion made in regards to this. Just,
So
You
I
can
withdraw
rescind
my
that
motion.
Okay, so Jessica had made a motion to accept it. She withdraws her motion. We have another motion by Nicole to have these administrative committee meet and then bring the recommendation back to the board. But we're going to discuss a date on that further on in the agenda. Todd's going to be talking about some board meeting dates so we can try to fit it in there. And then Julie, you seconded the motion, correct?
Yeah.
Any more discussion?
Do we have no agenda over here?
All those in favor?
All right, Paul.
okay. Serena, Barbara.
Yeah, he did. Steve, Jesse, Nicole, Jessica, Karen? Yep. Lois, and Julie. Okay, and that's everybody. Okay, thank you. Am I missing a page or are we onto old business? No, okay. Old business, COVID-19 impact update.
Yep, the application for the CARES Act, the ESSER, Elementary and Secondary School Relief, Emergency Relief, has been released. At this point, we're trying to strategize what exactly we want to put into that. The estimated allocation for us is $183,254.85. I was in a meeting today with the Kennebec Valley superintendents, and they've started a Google Doc where those superintendents are putting in the information that the materials and things that they're going to request out of that act. I reached out to the WMSA, which is Western Maine Superintendents Association. They're going to replicate that document and do the same thing. So we're going to take our time. I know in the district, Joe created one for administrators to throw items in as well. The issue is that we have to be cautious on what we put in there because it could impact our state subsidy moving forward. And so we're being very cautious about that. And I know there's some guidance around special education. I know Lauren and I have already talked about that as well. Because what we certainly don't want to do is put anything in there that's going to impact our subsidy next year. Because obviously there's concern about what that may look like to begin with. So we've got the application open and we're going to start filling that out. At this point, there's no deadline for it, but I'd like to get it done sooner rather than later. So we'll see what we generate within the district as far as ideas go, and then we'll cross-reference it with what other districts are doing just to make sure that we're not going to be impacting any of that subsidy. So we will be, that's what I'll be working on over the next couple weeks.
Great, thank you. And e-funds.
And Jared just left.
And Jared.
So we can go into new business and then come back.
New business cares application.
Just, that was under old business, so I just explained that. As far as the budget information goes, I had a budget flyer that I was going to share, but it's about 98%. You saw it a little bit earlier today, Kim. It's about 98% done. There's just a couple of things I want to make sure are accurate before I send it out. So I'll share that with the board first. I'll share a draft with them prior to it going out. I do have meetings next Tuesday with selectmen virtually from Strong and in person in Phillips. So I will be sharing with them. Kingfield is not meeting, so we're sending it to them electronically, and I'm still waiting to hear from Avon. So I'll be attending those town meetings. The holdup on the flyer is all throughout that it talks about a district meeting, which right now we're scheduling for June 23rd is our goal date. I've talked with Scott. We're trying to stay as late into June as we can, but we have a window of time that we have to do it before it goes to the validation vote, which is July 14th. That's the week that the work in the gym gets done. So at this point, we're anticipating using the cafeteria because as of June 1st, the groups of gatherings can go to 50 people. We're also considering live streaming into the gymnasium. So if we had more than 50 people, we'd be able to address that so people could hear it. There's been discussion legally both back and forth about whether that's something you can or cannot do. So that's still on a lawyer's desk right now, but at this point, we've been told that is a direction we could go. That being said, there is also information on the governor's desk, which may eliminate the budget meeting, the town budget meeting, and send adopted budget straight to the voters. There is discussion about what will that look like? Would the voters just get similar to what they have in the past? I vote to approve the proposed budget, or would they have to actually vote on every single article? And that obviously could be an issue. So this pros and cons to both ways. Waiting to see if the governor's guidance is that they suggest or that they prohibit type thing. So we really don't know. So that's another reason I don't want to get the information out too soon and have it be information that we have to turn around and change. So trying to hold off on that as long as I can, but there is a window of time. I want to get it out at least 3 weeks prior to the scheduled district board meeting, district budget meeting. So we'd be looking at the first early June to get that out, which is, as Scott mentioned earlier, only a week away. So I will be sharing that with the board. Like I said, there's just 2 more items I want to double check before I do that. So I'm anticipating probably Tuesday. I'll get a draft out to the board, get any feedback the board members might have before I send it out to redistribute it. Where else are we? I'm on C now, vacation day accumulation request. This is because in particular with all the COVID stuff that's going on, this is pertaining to administrators and their contracts. There was a verbiage that says that with written board approval, some vacation days can be carried over if necessary, if they're not utilized. Just because of the situation with COVID right now, I would ask the board, which is not uncommon in other districts, for the superintendent to have the authority to grant that. So that this is a request from me of the board to consider allowing me to have the authority to address any requests of that nature should I get any. I'm not saying I will, but there's a possibility just because of all the extra time people are putting in with this COVID stuff that people may not utilize. So I would ask the board to consider that request.
to,
have that discretion.
at his discretion, to vacation date.
A motion that Todd be allowed to discuss vacation date accumulation request.
I second that.
Do we want to limit the number of days that can be carried forward? I mean, I have no idea where anybody is at in the,
In my discussions with the administrators, 5 was the number that I threw out, would be a number that would be to the most that I would consider. That was a number that I've had discussions with some administrators about.
I think that's reasonable. I would be comfortable with that. Maximum of 5.
So, and the motion was to discuss, are we saying to approve or permit or? I mean, discussing is one thing, but you don't have to come back to us to approve it, so. Just suggesting a change in the language.
Yes, that's what she's doing.
Just give me the authority to approve the request.
I give Todd the authority to approve the request for no more than 5 days.
You make a motion.
Make a motion. I was adding to my other motion. Making a long motion.
So Jessica's motion was to give Todd grant Todd the authority at his discretion to discuss the vacation day accumulation request with the administrators with up to 5
Julie's
days.
shaking her head no.
Not discuss, approve.
Approve.
Yes, approve. Thank you, Julie. Well, there will be some.
Hard. This is hard from home. I'm sitting on my hand, my one hand.
Any further discussion? I don't even want to look. All those in favor?
Aye, Paul Avon.
Todd, at this point, would you, usually when we're in person, you give folks a reminder that it is okay for them to leave after that business with all the teachers on the call?
Oh, yeah.
Is it okay that
I was
their
looking around,
contracts have been
actually, Joe,
considered?
I was just looking around the cafeteria.
You know, they may be in, you know, want to stay, but
can feel
they
free to
may
leave.
also want to enjoy this lovely evening.
I don't know, Dustin looks like he's really into this, so
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, Joe, with so few
Thank you.
people here, that's something I forgot. I do always give that opportunity. It's not rude if you want to leave. It's actually a wise decision.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Okay,
Joe.
So that
Thank you,
was,
everyone.
everyone was in favor. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then we have the June meeting.
Yeah, so my suggestion, just this is a suggestion, is that we consider changing the date of the June meeting so that we don't have to have 2 meetings. And Lynn, you may want to chime in. I know you've got the timelines from Drummond Woodson from the attorneys, but this is a date based on the other dates that we're hoping to follow through, that we have to have a board meeting. They need to sign warrants, call a validation referendum, sign warrants, sign notice of amounts adopted at the budget meeting, and authorize me to do the same. So this has to happen on June 9th. So there's 2 options. We can either have an additional meeting on June 9th, or we can lump the 2 meetings together so we only have 1 meeting in June. It just means moving that meeting in June to the 9th.
I'm just gonna say I am not
Is
available.
this moving
on
the June 18th meeting? Sorry,
Correct.
Julie.
No, it's okay.
I didn't hear what you said.
Julie's
though,
not
Julie.
available. I think Julie said she's not available on the 9th.
I have a work commitment that night. It's a Tuesday, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't do that night. But that's okay. Go ahead. I can sign my warrants somewhere else.
And my question was, this is the June 18th board meeting that we'd be moving to the June 9th date.
Correct. We'd be lumping 2 meetings together.
My question would be, is for 2021, can we do the same thing so that it doesn't interfere with Phillips Town meeting?
Can we do what next year?
Yes, in June, the third Thursday is always Phillips Town meeting. So I would prefer to, if we're going to lump it this year, to lump 2021 in the same manner.
If the dates,
How can we lump 2021?
I think in next year, we'll probably have to have had this, I'm looking across the room at Lynn, probably next year, we'll have to have had this meeting sooner because everything's been pushed back because of COVID. So because the validation is July, we're allowed to do this in June. I'm assuming this is probably something we do in May normally.
usually it is a May
Yeah.
meeting. I think this is just, I know this is just an off year, Nicole, that we're doing it
In June.
in June. Usually this one is done in May.
I mean, that being said, we certainly, I've got the dates that I suggested. If the board wants to entertain switching the June date, we certainly could. It's not something that I'm saying we can't do. It's just, it won't be doing the two things simultaneously next year like it is this year. Yeah. Right.
Right.
This is out of need.
Right.
And we can discuss that later if that works for everyone. It's just every year, the June 3rd Thursday meeting falls on the same time and same date meeting.
Correct. Okay, so looks like the June 9th meeting is going to be the budget and
Just
regular
the-
held, the district and the regular held school board meeting.
Okay. So now I guess my question moving forward with that, where there's so many things that will have to be signed, as of June 1st, we can increase our meetings to 50 or more people, or 50 people or fewer. And on the 1st of June, central office personnel will be returning to their regular scheduled work. Does the board want to entertain the idea of returning to our traditional board meetings with everybody around the table, or I guess what are the board's wishes? We do have things that are gonna have to be signed.
Can I ask a question first?
Sure.
Do we have the option of docu-signing or electronic signing everything?
Don't believe so. I do not legally think that's legally allowed.
There are services that have a legally attaching signature for you to electronically sign.
When I asked Drummond Woodson about that, they said people had to be physically present at those meetings, so I don't.
How many signatures are needed on the
Do we
warrant?
have
I know
to-
it's nice to have everyone's, but oops,
You know how
sorry.
many signatures we have to have.
Which usually about 50 or so.
No, I'm not, I'm talking for the board signatures, not the,
How many board signatures do we need?
how many signatures are there, Lynn? Do you know what on the documents that Drummond Woodson is? Because we haven't got it back yet, right? Okay,
I always thought everybody had to sign it.
we can find out. We can inquire.
Because I just remember in years past, Sue made sure that everybody was going to be, we had to make it so everybody was going to be at these meetings.
It's nice to have everyone sign it, but I don't think there's a legal obligation. It's probably like a majority or some percentage, but I don't know what it is.
We can look into that.
Yeah, I guess Lynn's gonna check with Drummond with some, but
So if someone did not feel comfortable coming, that would
Right.
still, we might still be able to get it accomplished, I guess is my point.
Yep.
Mhm. Correct.
Could it be, that maybe, some people don't feel comfortable, they might feel comfortable just going to the supers?
We'll find out what other options are available
find
to
out
us. Yep.
Because
No,
Yeah,
we'll find
no,
out.
I understand what you're
Yep.
saying.
We'll find out what options are available.
Okay. Budget meeting, sign warrant.
The next one is the professional evaluation and performance growth. This is an informational piece. Joe Prince is one of the chairs of this committee. It's the evaluation system for the district. So just out of information for you, the committee has been meeting and they've been looking at teacher, ed tech, and administrator evaluations. So she's just going to bring up to speed on some of the changes that have happened to as a result of the meetings of that group.
Earlier this year, the Maine state law with regards to a professional evaluation systems changed. And so what I sent you earlier today is kind of the overview of the big changes that we have looked at. Before, there were kind of two different handbooks. We had one for teachers and one for principals. And overall, what the committee has worked on this year is bringing it all into one handbook so that there is far greater consistency between all of the systems. And we also went through with the various groups and revised how each system is weighted within each group. So for teachers, there's 3 elements: professional growth, student growth, and instructional practice. So you can see in the document that I emailed out earlier what we have come to consensus on for those percentages. And then for the educational technicians, prior to this handbook, they really did not have a very clear outline of what their plan was. So a big part of it was establishing the educational technicians plan. We adopted a new evaluation tool for them. And then for administrators, again, we were looking at just revising and making clear what the percentages of how our system was weighted. And as I totaled it up this morning, I was just in awe of the fact there's been over 17 meetings. And when I count the number of people there, it's over 170 hours of collective work that have gone into these revisions. We met for, I hope, our final time earlier today, and the document went out this evening to the entire staff now, not just the committee. To give everyone a chance to read it, invited them to provide any feedback with concerns by June 1st. And then if there's anything we need to address, we'll convene to address and then adopt for use in the fall of 2020. So I think everyone who was part of the process feels really positive about not only where we ended, but also how collaborative the process was. So I'm happy to answer any questions or provide more information if anyone would like more.
Everybody, all schools.
I'm sorry, I can't hear Barbara's question.
Barbara, you're muted.
So I was just asking if it was all of the elementary schools. So it's all been standardized where it wasn't before?
Nope, there were 2 different handbooks, one for teachers across the district, and this impacts all district employees. It's not just an elementary school piece. So we've had representatives from all 4 schools be part of this, including educational technicians and administrators, but primarily teachers. And so really it's cleaning up a lot of language and making sure that we had the opportunity to reflect on any changes that we want, because we had some more flexibility with the new law.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
It looks great, John, and thank you to you and your team for your many, many hours of hard work here.
I don't know how it could have been possible for us to have finished this project without COVID. So I guess it is a one positive because it has just taken far more time than we anticipated. So I'm really appreciative of everyone's investment, and hopefully we will only have minor edits to make at this point.
No, it looks great. Thank you. And next we have reports. Board chair has none.
The only thing I have are those regional meetings, and it's kind of, it's a broken record. It's stuff you've already heard. What will summer look like? What will athletics look like? What will the fall look like? And it's really more of a wait and see type thing right now for a lot of districts. And obviously the CARES Act is a big discussion going on as far as regional meetings go. But you've already heard it over and over again. It's the same old every meeting, just the information changes occasionally. So we'll go with the best guidance that we get as we get it and as we move forward.
Great, thank you. Yep.
That's right. You stepped out right when E-funds came up. Thank you, Kim, for catching that. You might want to just remind people what it is.
Yep, so the e-funds thing, what we need the board to decide is if we're gonna pass the fees on to the parents or if we as a school district are going to take on those fees. I did meet with the finance committee and we had discussed this and had, I think, pretty much thought that we were gonna pass that on to the parents, but I don't know what the rest of the board thinks about that. So I think that's just what we need action taken on is to decide if we're gonna pick up the fees or if the parents are.
You want to explain what the fees are?
Yep, so there's transaction fees. Whenever somebody gets on to the e-funds to pay to add lunch money to their accounts, to pay for tech fees, to anything, any kind of fees or anything like that. There's just a transaction fee that goes with that. So we need to figure out if we're going to pass that fee on to the parents that choose to use the e-funds program, or if we're, as a school district, if we're going to pick those up.
I can't remember if we knew the amount or not, but do you have any idea the amount of each transaction fee? And I'm definitely in favor of having the user pay the fee, and not the board.
Yeah, it's only $2 to $3. I forget the exact amount, but it's only a couple of dollars. And it's not something they have to use. We'll still offer the regular methods of adding money to their accounts by bringing checks in and things like that. It's just a convenience that we would offer to the parents.
Great, thank you.
I think you're muted. Yes.
My mute?
Yeah, you should be fine now.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, for the $2 or so that you said, is there a lot of parents that get into this, do you think?
That would do
That
that?
would use it? Yes.
We have had quite a few parents reach out to us over the possibility of being able to do this. So yeah, I think it would be something, probably not all our parents would take advantage of it, but I think a lot of them would.
Had it not been
Might
offered
get
in
more
the
timely
past?
payments if it's more
thought-
convenient for people as well.
I don't think so.
Yeah, we're hoping that it will help with that as well. Just a more convenient way than, because a lot of times people are, oh, I forgot to send that in with my kid, something like that. So if it's available online, it might be easier for that. And I'm not sure if this has been offered before, Kim. I know we aren't offering it at the moment, but I'm not sure if it has in the past.
I'd make a motion that the end user and not the district pay for any convenience fees for this system.
I second it.
The end user pay the $2 or $3 fee.
Could you repeat that? That was muted.
Sorry.
She asked what the motion was, and I said your motion was that the end user or the parent be the one responsible for the fee and not the district.
Perfect.
Who seconded that? Cindy? Okay.
I did, yes, Cindy.
Any further discussion on this?
Can we revisit it? Just so that we know whether we're getting any pushback or if it's being utilized?
I mean, Jared can let us know in his
He probably gets some kind of user report, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we would. It hasn't been utilized yet. Because we weren't gonna put it in place until we knew who was gonna be covering all the fees, but.
I'd just like to know 6 months, a year from now, if it's not being used because parents are objecting.
Yeah, we can
So that
certainly.
we revisit it.
Yeah, sure. We can certainly get that information. Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Like everybody.
Everybody again?
Great. Thank you very much.
Jesse, I believe it's your time.
It's my time.
Can I ask one question before we go?
Yes, yes.
Before we lose all the principals, I'm just curious, I don't know how to say this, what kind of dropout rate you're having? I mean, we started this on June 13th with the remote learning. It's been a real challenge. I know you're getting better at it all the time. Are you losing any kids? Have you lost any kids?
With the nice weather coming, we have some have been in and out, but we've had a few that.
Can you take yourself off mute, please?
Jeff, can you unmute? Oh, he already left. Right.
I can't hear whoever's talking.
He's thinking.
Can you repeat whatever was said?
Where is the question was, how was attendance? And at Phillips, it's been spotty at times. We've had some kids that don't miss a meeting. And then we have some that, participate off and on, spotty. And then we have a small group that it's been hard to reach on a consistent basis. But I think in terms of participation, it's stayed pretty level all in all, overall, the large group.
Yeah, I can speak
Does
to
that
the high
answer your
school.
question?
It does. I'm curious what will happen now. We're coming to the end of the year. Will those students just automatically, the ones, one or two, or I don't know the number we're talking about, but will they matriculate on?
Yes, I think the plan across the board is no harm. So the real issue will be in the fall. We'll do some assessments and check where kids are at and go from there. And every year we sort of do that in the fall. We do some pre-testing and see where kids are at and then start developing instruction and curriculum based on that. So I think in the fall, we'll have to assess where kids are at. And, there are some kids that probably gone above and beyond, your independent workers and very studious kids. So we'll have some that have probably done very, very well. And then, so I think the fall will be the test for that. I don't know if Brenda and Joe want to add to that, but.
I think Christina, Christina was going to say something.
I was just saying that, so we have several kids at the high school that haven't participated in, not in all classes, but in certain classes still. Every week, we started 3 weeks ago running reports every Friday of students that have an NP, which means not participate. And then all week long, I call kids. I don't call the kids, I call the parents. So probably like 25 phone calls a week. And then that usually increases the participation that week for that kid. But just like Jeff said, we're going to be dealing with this in the fall. for sure. That's when we're gonna feel it the most. I think we have 2 seniors maybe in jeopardy of not graduating because of this, but they were in jeopardy prior to this. And I think they'll come back next year to hopefully graduate. I don't think there'll be dropouts. So yeah, we'll just have to meet kids where they're at next fall.
Okay,
thank you.
Steve has his hand up.
I'm a little confused by this. So there's going to be final exams at the end of the year. So how do we decide if these kids pass or not?
So the district has taken on a no harm policy during this because every kid's situation is incredibly different from another kid's situation. You know, some kids that I've called, they're babysitting 3 younger siblings all day long while their parents are at work. And just the fact of no internet, no access to things. We do packet pickups every week, but our feeling was that if kids participated on any level, then they earned a P at the high school for that class. So a P is participate and an NP is a not participate. And their grades, their GPAs are factored based on through March 13th, which was the end of our 3rd quarter. And so this last 4th quarter will have no impact on GPAs for the good or for the bad. And we will just issue full credit for that class to all kids that have a P. The kids that have an NP will go into credit recovery to earn the full credit for that class in the fall.
Actually, Christina, you said the district. That is the directive and the guidance from the state, actually, for all
Yeah,
districts in the state.
well, it's our policy that we adopted. Yep. Okay, thank you.
So what I'm going to say now is not to you, it's to the state.
Yeah.
This leniency is going to, you know, we've got the kids that Jeff said are going to do better now, but this leniency is going to really hurt these kids that needed discipline and needed.
Oh, absolutely. The gap gets bigger, right?
And
The gap,
and the
gap
right.
gets bigger right now.
Okay, I've
Right,
got to
and
stop talking or I'm going to get political. Okay, bye.
No, and I think I think Jeff hit it right on the head. You know, it's going to be determining what gaps have this created. But the bigger concern to me, and I've shared it with administrators, is we don't know what next fall is going to look like. So if we end up with some kind of a hybrid where we're going every other day, or we're doing, you know, modified days, or we stick with a remote learning, there's the curriculum leaders from the state. There's about 4 different plans, if you will, as far as what school may look like when we come back in the fall. But these gaps aren't going to close immediately when we return in the fall. There's a possibility those gaps could continue to grow in the fall as well. So it's really going to be an assessment and of individual students and just trying to meet them where they are. And as was said, the challenge is really going to be next fall and throughout the next year or so.
I agree.
Could you repeat that question?
Were we forced into adopting the state's recommendation or whatever it was? I mean.
No, what happens is most regional superintendents discuss it because, you know, what Cumberland County does may be different than what Western Maine superintendents do. But we all try to come up with a unified approach for our regions. I would say that this is the approach that probably 95% of districts in the state are using. Now, there may be some schools that were, you know, well ahead in remote learning and we're already doing it. And they may have a different higher expectation than we do, or the majority of the districts in the state do. But this is the approach that I would say, you know, 95% of the districts are taking in the state.
So a follow-up to that is the participation, is there a percentage of how much they must participate to be a P or an MP?
I'm not sure what the high school is doing for criteria. I look at Christina. I'm not sure how they're determining that.
I think it's really kind of discretionary on every teacher. I think our stance has been, however minimal they participate, it's a participate. We have no idea what some of these kids are enduring at home and just dealing with anxiety and the stress of this whole situation. It's unprecedented. So, it's been hard for us. So that's the stance we've been taking. And we still have quite a few, we have a handful of kids that haven't participated, and they're not going to earn full credit, and we'll have to do credit recovery in the fall. But, despite phone calls home and whatnot. So, but some kids have been great. A lot of kids have been great, and the packet pickups and the drop-offs have been awesome. And yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you had a very excited parent early today when I was here picking up some
Yeah.
stuff. From school.
Yeah, getting the Khajiit.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, that answers the question, doesn't it?
Yeah, thank you all for staying and answering that for me. I appreciate it.
Make the motion. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
I second that emotion.
Thank
All
you.
those in favor?
Aye.
Looks like everybody. Cindy, can you stay for a minute? I'm going to ask Jared to turn the meeting over to us so that you and three of us can chat
Yes.
to try to come up with a time when we can meet.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Kim.
Have a nice weekend, everyone.
You too, Kim.